6 years after divorce, she entered a café with her son, unaware the billionaire was inside. The bell above the café door chimed softly, a sound so ordinary yet powerful enough to pull Emily Carter back into a life she had buried for 6 long years. She stepped inside, brushing rain from her coat, one hand holding her son's small fingers, the other clutching the weight of memories she never spoke aloud. She didn't know that in the quiet corner by the window, a man who once promised her forever was lifting his coffee cup at that very moment. She didn't know that destiny, patient and relentless, had chosen this ordinary afternoon to rewrite their story. Emily had not planned to stop at the café. Money was tight, and treats were luxury she carefully measured. But her son, Noah, only 7 years old, had been shivering after school, his thin jacket no match for the cold. His hopeful eyes had undone her resolve. Just something warm, she told herself, guiding him inside. She had learned to bargain with life that way, small comforts in exchange for silent sacrifices. What she didn't expect was the past waiting quietly among the aroma of coffee and baked bread. 6 years earlier, Emily had walked out of a marble-floored mansion with nothing but a suitcase and a broken heart. Her marriage to Daniel Reed had collapsed under the crushing weight of pride, misunderstandings, and a world that demanded perfection but offered little compassion. Daniel had been rising fast then, already wealthy, already powerful, but blind to the simple truths Emily tried to protect. When she left, she carried a secret he never knew: she was pregnant. Fear, hurt, and a single cruel argument convinced her that walking away was kinder than dragging a child into a loveless storm. Daniel sat alone now, his tailored coat draped over the chair, his phone untouched beside him. The man the world called a billionaire felt hollow in ways no balance sheet could explain. Success had come in abundance, global deals, magazine covers, endless applause, but peace had never followed. Some nights, he still heard Emily's voice asking him to listen. Some mornings, he wondered what his life would have been if he had chosen humility over ego. Noah tugged at Emily's sleeve, pointing excitedly at the pastry display. "Mom, can we share one?" he asked, his voice full of hope. Emily smiled, hiding her hesitation, and nodded. She ordered carefully, counting coins, unaware that Daniel's eyes had finally lifted from the window and frozen on her face. Time seemed to stop. The woman standing by the counter was older, thinner, but unmistakably Emily. And beside her stood a little boy with Daniel's dark hair and curious eyes. Daniel's heart began to race. His mind rejected the possibility, but his soul recognized the truth before reason could intervene. He stood slowly, legs unsteady, and took a step forward. Emily turned at the sound of a chair scraping the floor. Their eyes met, and in that instant, 6 years of silence shattered. The café noise faded, leaving only the echo of everything they had never said. Emily's breath caught. She had imagined this moment in nightmares and daydreams, but never like this. Not here. Not now. Her first instinct was to leave, to protect Noah from questions she wasn't ready to answer. But Noah, sensing something important, held tighter to her hand. "Mom, who is that?" he whispered. Daniel swallowed hard. "Emily." I didn't know," he began, his voice trembling in a way it never did in boardrooms. His gaze flickered to Noah, then back to her. "Is he?" He couldn't finish the sentence. "Yes," Emily replied quietly, her voice steady despite the storm inside her. "This is Noah. He's my son." She paused, then added, "He's your son too." The truth landed like a quiet earthquake. Daniel sank back into his chair, tears blurring his vision. Regret crashed over him, heavy and merciless. "You should have told me," he said, pain woven into every word. "I tried," Emily answered, her voice breaking at last. "But you were never there. You loved control more than us." The words weren't accusations anymore, just scars speaking their truth. The days that followed were not magically healed. They were messy, uncomfortable, and painfully honest. Daniel insisted on being part of Noah's life, but Emily demanded trust be rebuilt slowly. Noah struggled too, confused by the sudden presence of a father he had never known. Daniel learned quickly that love wasn't bought with gifts or promises, it was earned in bedtime stories, school pickups, and quiet apologies. The greatest challenge wasn't wealth or pride, it was forgiveness. Emily had to confront years of hurt, and Daniel had to accept that redemption required patience. There were arguments, tears, and moments when it seemed easier to walk away again. But this time, both chose to stay. Months later, they sat together at Noah's school play, cheering louder than anyone else. Daniel reached for Emily's hand, not with expectation, but with gratitude. She squeezed back, a silent acknowledgement of how far they had come. They were not the same people they once were, and that was their greatest strength. The cafe where their paths had crossed again became a quiet symbol of hope. Sometimes, life doesn't reunite us to repeat old mistakes, but to give us a chance to choose better. Love, when guided by humility and truth, can rise from even the deepest regrets, and as Emily watched Noah laugh beside his father, she realized something powerful: the past may shape us, but it doesn't have to define our ending. Sometimes, the most beautiful chapters begin when we least expect them, right after we think the story is already over.